Just because it's not art fight yet doesn't mean I can't enjoy drawing other folks' characters. And I'm back again sharing, with permission obviously, some more of the beautiful commission requests that I have received. In fact, I have 4 gorgeous D&D characters that I'm excited to share with y'all, so let's jump right into it. I guess I should preface all of my videos with like a flashing or movement warning because, you know, I make speed draws. The drawings in this video are sped up. But I would like to introduce you to Aurelia Leodon. This first character was actually a commission that I got around a year ago. I was just going through a bunch of my old speed draw recordings and clearing up space when I realized that I had never shared this one online, and it's a really pretty one and it kind of deserves to see the light. So, you know, I just wanted to take a moment to truly appreciate the process and this beautiful character. As I said, it's been like a year since I did this commission, so I didn't actually save all the character notes that I had for her because despite being a creator of content that is recording hours and hours of footage a day, your girl is actually always scrambling to make space for new recordings. And unfortunately, because I like to live dangerously and not hold on to archives of documents if they aren't specifically art, I don't have a ton of backstory information to delve into on Aurelia. I also cannot for the life of me remember the name of her bat-winged fluffy cat familiar, but they're so cute. What I do remember is that Aurelia is an elven divination wizard and that the campaign setting was a Strixhaven University sort of style D&D setting. The person who commissioned this drawing already had previous art commissioned of Aurelia, so I had a lot of references to go off of, but the character was specifically going through an era of transformation. Symbols were appearing on their forehead like a circlet, her style of clothing was changing a bit, and she got a couple new magic items, so the player just wanted some new art to reflect those changes. Earlier on in the art process, you might have seen multiple versions of the sketch, her with a couple different hairstyles, a couple different outfits. There's a huge range of what people give me when they request a commission. Some people send Pinterest boards, some of them send written descriptions, and a lot of the time people actually send their own art as references, and I'm super happy to work with options. Obviously, I love it when people have very precise, clear, defined ideas of what their character looks like and know exactly what they want, because that makes life very easy for me, but at the same time, I love the process of helping players create a visual representation of their characters out of all of these little bits and pieces. It's kind of like a little treasure hunt, and I think that's neat. Even just looking at my art from like a year ago, though I don't feel like the overall style has changed a lot, the amount of time for me to achieve a similar end result has gone down quite a bit. I find that my art progress goes through phases where my style changes in one way or another, and then the next few years my techniques and expertise catch up in terms of speed, and then I'll go back and change a few more things stylistically, and then so on and so forth forever and ever. But that note brings us to the end of our drawing of Aurelia. Looking back on this work, even with the time that has passed, I think this still continues to be a piece that I'm very proud of. It has so many details that I'm very in love with, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have drawn such a gorgeous character design. But we still have 3 more characters to get to, and this next one is a really fun one, so let us not delay. This commission came in and I was shocked. Not only did this person trust me to draw their beloved D&D character, their character is a sea elf, which I don't think I've ever drawn a sea elf on my channel, and also their character is a man. Granted, a man with more purposefully androgynous features, but y'all know drawing a man is not my strong suit. So for 2 things that I have no proof or history of ever having been good at drawing, I think it was very brave of this person to reach out to me and ask for a commission. Genuinely, I am so honored that they did. I love how this one turned out. The colors, the vibe, everything about it was just so incredible, and also such a push of my artistic ability. I just had too much fun with it. So let me introduce you to Mordecai Gemblossom, or Mori, who is a sea elf fighter. He's a very laid-back individual despite having come from a noble bloodline, and he loves traveling and journaling. The campaign setting is a series of smaller adventures that take place on the high seas, going from coast to coast and island to island, which I think is really fun and very fitting for a character like this. Also, it's a really smart and convenient way to have a bunch of shorter sessions and not have to worry about multi-year long commitments with multiple people with very different lives, while still having a larger overarching campaign setting. One of my favorite parts of working on Mori was the color palette. They requested very dark dark blues alongside very bright and vibrant colors, specifically bringing to my attention my original drawing of Merilith. And I think I did 4 different flats of Mori's outfits so we could decide which color combinations we thought look best, and we landed on this one with the aqua blue seashell splint armor, as well as more coral and orangey details. The seashell splint armor was in itself a pretty big challenge. I'm gonna be so honest, drawing seashell armor and just seashells in general isn't something I do often. So when I found out that the seashell splint armor was a pretty major part of the character design, I knew it was time to lock in. It took me a couple of tries to figure out how to balance the colors and the textures, but I think I ended with a result that I'm quite happy with. Obviously, the most important part is that the person who requested the commission in the first place is happy with the result, but I never want to take on a commission where I think I won't be able to do it the justice that it deserves. And in general, I love this design. I think it's so creative. I think a coastal adventure is such a good time to lean into bright colors and fancy flowy sheer clothing and unique armor. Honestly, I got to be a pirate captain for 1 day in all of my D&D adventures, and I think I should have gotten more. I think everyone should get to be a pirate more often. And that brings us to the end of drawing number 2 of 4 with Mori. I am so glad I felt brave enough to take on this commission and that the person requesting it had enough faith in me to bring him to life for their campaign. I feel like I learned a lot in composition, in techniques, in trying something fun and new, and also just a nice reminder for all of us to make more fun and colorful D&D characters. Our third character of the lineup was commissioned by another incredible artist, Loon, who also goes by Delusional _. They asked me to draw Kira, their ASMR Celestial Pact Warlock with a very heavy backstory, which I would love to tell every single detail of, but I only have a few minutes for each character in this video and I gotta keep things fair. Also, if I made speed draws slow enough that I could talk about how much I love every single character, the speed draws would be very slow and probably a lot less enjoyable to watch. But just briefly touching on her backstory, Kira has always been a protector. At the very young age of 11, she defended her brother from the onslaught of demons coming out of a portal that opened up in her hometown. Her heroic deeds caught the eye of an angel of Tyr named Nathaniel, and Nathaniel decided that she would make for an excellent champion. However, her newly bestowed powers did not come without cost. Every night, instead of sleeping and dreaming, she instead enters a battle against Avernus on behalf of Celestials. And for years this was her story, protecting her brother by day, fighting demons and undead by night, believing the laws of the world to be black and white, and strictly following the commands of Nathaniel without straying from the path. But then she met her new party in a place called the Scarlet Moon Hall. Together they would encounter many events and trials and people that would not follow the laws of how she thought things were supposed to work, and doubt began to take root. As her doubt began to grow, so did her exhaustion with the battle of these Celestials against Avernus. It began to take a toll on Kira in her day life, and at some point she fails to defeat a demon before it takes her life from her. And in this space between life and death, she confronts Nathaniel. He berates her, humiliates her, and Kira snaps, deciding that she has had enough of being exploited, enough of thinking the world was so simple, enough of prioritizing the Celestials above her own well-being and the well-being of her companions in the mortal realm. Enough of Nathaniel. And he says, fine, see how you do without me. Kira wakes up, drained, empty, but presses on to the next battle with the rest of her party. It's grueling and difficult, and for a moment she attempts to make a desperate call to Nathaniel for her healing abilities, but the cry lands on deaf ears. In anger, mostly at herself for having tried to reach out, she lets the rage drive her into vanquishing the enemy, and from this turning point, she defiantly rids herself of any connection to Nathaniel, as well as her celestial ASMR heritage. She shatters the blue gem in her breastplate, she discards the golden armor, and she cuts off the wings that she had on the sides of her head. Loon reached out to me in this moment, hoping that I could draw a version of Kira that would be ready to take on a new era, face battles without Nathaniel, wearing rusted and worn armor, having all the celestial links severed and discarded, and I am honored to have drawn her in such a turning point of her journey. And that's Kira. I spent the entire time talking about her backstory, even though I said I was only going to give you a little bit, but you gotta admit, it is some good stuff. I always try to ask for a little bit of backstory and adventure when taking a commission because I feel like it gives me such a nice insight into characters and helps me pick a pose and expression, and it really helped when drawing Kira. I love this one. Huge, massive thank you to Loon for trusting me with such an awesome commission. And the last commission I have for you today, as well as the most recent commission I have finished, is for August and their centaur cleric Viori. Not to be biased, but clerics are my favorite class, so obviously I was so excited to take this commission on. But also, it's been a hot minute since I've drawn a centaur, and horses are kind of a nostalgic drawing subject for me, so I was both looking forward and also deeply afraid of that aspect of things as well. Viori is a Fate Domain cleric, which is an Unearthed Arcana subclass, and she worships the goddess of love, which in their setting is called Moena. Viori is deeply entrenched in her worship. She loves to use her divinely gifted abilities to pick at the strings of fate, intertwine relationships, and rearrange happenstance. She has a uniquely crafted tarot deck that she references whenever she feels lost or unsure, and she sees omens and signs in everything. The person who designed Viori sent a beautiful description of their character as well as their own artwork of Viori. And two of the most unique features that I really noted on this character that I don't see in a ton of other characters were her tattoos and her face paint. Viori wears a streak of pink paint across her eyes as a sign of her dedication to Moena. It symbolizes not only her faith but also how love is blind, and I thought that was such a cool detail to incorporate into a character design. Also, Viori has tattoos that go down both of her arms. On her upper arm, the tattoos look like cracks in her skin, but as they flow down past her elbow and onto her forearms, they turn into branches with flower blossoms to symbolize how love is able to blossom and bloom anywhere. And I'm a big fan of the heavy-handed symbolism myself, so I made sure to spend time getting those two details specifically worked into place. I did take a few creative liberties with the design and hit a bunch of little hearts throughout it. In the little catch lights in her eyes, the highlight on her nose, the color of her lips, and a couple of other places as well. It just seems so fitting that a cleric of the goddess of love would begin to reflect love in little tiny subconscious ways. Although currently in the campaign, it seems like Moena's attention has been focused elsewhere, as if her divine power is being diverted. Viori has felt a shift in Moena's abilities and had several alarming interactions with her goddess in recent times, where Moena requests that Viori find her and help her. So, joining a mercenary group called the White Boars, Viori, Viori's sister Roxy, and one other member of the party have set off on a journey to explore the world, but also to see what they can do to help bring Moena's divine powers back to full focus. And that brings us to the end of our last commission of the group, Viori. I really enjoyed the opportunity to draw a centaur after all this time, a lot more than I thought. I'm so glad we got a cleric in the group, and not just a cleric, a pretty pink cleric. You know I love a pretty pink D&D character. Everyone should have at least one pretty pink aesthetic D&D character. It's just an all-around good time. But here we have our final party of commissions: Aurelia the wizard, Mori the fighter, Kira the warlock, and Viori the cleric. I mean, that's a full party right there. A little heavy on the spellcasting, but honestly, I think you're all set and ready to go, so congratulations on your new D&D party. No, just kidding. No, but seriously, if you've watched to the end of the video, I really truly do appreciate it. I do also have a quick announcement. I will not be uploading a video next week. It should have been an art fight video, but I'm on a weirdly timed vacation and I am physically removed from all of my art tools, which it's a good thing to have a break, but boy howdy does it feel bad. So there's gonna be no upload next week. However, I would appreciate it if you all took a moment to watch my last video where I'm having y'all let me know which 3 of my new characters you would like to see me upload to Art Fight this year. So that being said, I will be a week late to the Art Fight game this year, but I'm gonna come back to it fully rested, probably, having not made any digital art for a couple weeks, and I will be so ready, I hope. But as always, who knows? Not me.